Hola, ¿qué onde, por favor? How's everybody doing? I'm doing fantastic. Wow, it's been a crazy day. Woo! Really started the craziness started Sunday, but here we are. Hopefully, we can break it down, explain it, give some insight, yada yada yadas. I do not know. What I do know is my name's Lewis Herms, and this is Screw Big Gub News, Views, and Conspiracies. And I have an amazing co-host that I'll be bringing on shortly. Just know, folks, this is crazy times, so we are accountable for how we react to that. I have no idea what's on the agenda, so just click the next slide, Robert, and then I'll go with it. What is that next slide? Dun dun dun. Oh, look at that. That's screwbiggov.com. Wonderful Lisa Richards that built this website for us. And guess what? All the social media you need to find is right there. So if we disappear on TikTok, even YouTube, which looks likely because they're banning us for videos that we actually produced in June. So it looks like we'll be down again on YouTube. That's all right. We'll probably have a new one right there. We always have our new TikToks up there. I think we're on number 3 by now. Whatever it is, you can find us right there. Plus, if you want to see any one of our over 20 films that we have, go there. Find information on the Unity Tour. Go there. Remember your oath. Go there. Freedom in Action. Go there. Swag, go there. It's what I'm talking about over here, right? You want to get on our newsletter, which I would recommend you do because it looks like we are being attacked massively. You'll be able to find us. Plus, don't you want to know what's going on in the future? Our show's Unity Tour, go there. Am I having fun yet? Yes. How about swag? Go there. How about amazing health products? Go there. Okay, enough with the go there. Let's go talk about Robert's Telegram channel. Our illustrious co-host has Renegade Media TV. That's the .com, which is amazing. But you know what he does phenomenally? I don't know why his Telegram's not going viral. He is a master at putting the exact right information that we need out there in the size of clips that are palatable for everybody. And I can tell you, if you haven't been to his Telegram channel at Renegade Media, you need to go. Because I will say, I constantly hear people say, "Oh my God, that's such an amazing channel." So definitely go to Renegade Media and let's bring up the beautiful co-host that I have, Robert Imbraeli.
Yeah.
How'd I do
My
winging it,
friend.
Robert?
You're winging it?
Did I
I
wing it?
couldn't
Is it
tell.
okay?
Couldn't tell.
Is that past tense? Should I say I wang it? Oh no, that
You
doesn't
wang it.
sound right.
Well, that's
Did I wang it or winged it?
it's really good to see us in a great mood after looking at all the news today and looking at everything that's gone on over the weekend and everything that is pretending to come forward this week. That we can still smile. I know I've been getting phone calls. People are kind of on the edge right now and going, "What in the
Mhm.
heck?" And I got to tell you, the good news in all of this is a lot of people are waking up. All of a
So
sudden,
true.
they're like, "Hey, what were you talking about 6 months ago, Rob? When I thought you were crazy, all of a
Yeah,
sudden, it's clicking now." You
yeah.
know?
Even my kids are not debating me anymore. So before they used to at least debate me. Now they're like, well, he was right about that and that and that and that, right? So a couple more are coming around, but the other ones that are kind of still in debate mode, they're not in debate mode anymore. The three that have completely abandoned us, well, who knows what's going on with them? They'll come into the fold eventually. Here's what we do know. And folks, I'm going to touch on this a bit later, but it is very important to understand with all of this, there is something that we control, and that is our mood, which is our response to what's going on. And it may sound crazy, but if you choose to get upset or depressed, it is a choice. Nobody is doing it to you. And that's how we hold our power.
Yep, absolutely true. And at first they think you're crazy. It's because we were so far ahead of the narrative, and then they get
Mhm.
angry with you. And then they move into a period of acceptance, right? That's the next phase. So the acceptance now is coming around saying, you guys weren't that far off. Look what's happening. It's not exactly as we said, but darn close. I mean,
Yeah.
to realize, I friends asking me about the market, and I said, "How can the market not crash? How, Lewis? Market not crash?
No.
We know about the economy, knowing what we know about everything. It's only a matter of when, not if.
Yeah, and
Don't
I
here.
had the when incorrectly because, as you know, 2 years ago, and I said in August, I believe, I said right between now and October, the market I see is going to crash. Why did I make that prediction? And I don't do predictions, but it was based on markers. And all the markers showed that the market would be crashing in 2022 right between August and October, and real estate would crash, and the banking sectors would go down. We would have a run on money, and you wouldn't be able to get it. All of that stuff I predicted in 2022. Why did it not happen? Why was Lewis 100% wrong on his prediction? Because what I didn't calculate is the huge influx that, well, that has run out. So as you know, right here on the show a couple months ago, I said that's run out. So I see the same scenario for this year, and guess what's happening right now?
Yep.
Not quite a Black Monday, but it's something to pay attention to, especially on the Nikkei in Japan, which I posted in depth about.
Well, your stock portfolio apparently has been unburdened by what has been, so we don't have to worry too much about it anymore.
Uh, yes, honey, I know you're watching this and you want me to make a t-shirt for you about Kamala Harris's Unburdened. I actually put it on my to-do list, so we're going to get it somehow.
I
Hi,
think
this
it
is
will be a hot seller. Just don't quote me on it. I think it's going to be a very hot seller.
Yeah, and I wasn't even thinking about selling it. I was just going to give it to her, but maybe I should put it up. We do have our website's going to have all new swag coming really, really soon here, and we'll be able to spontaneously put things up there, which we're really excited about.
So, Friday, the market dropped $2.9 trillion in value, slopped
Hmm.
away.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of us were expecting that this trend would continue. And how hard you hit him to the ground, he's going to bounce back up a little bit. And so we thought, oh, well, maybe Monday. And then we started to see what was happening yesterday. Lewis and I were up pretty late last night.
Hmm.
Lewis was watching the Nikkei index drop and drop and drop and drop. And I was watching that. I was watching Taiwan, South Korea, UK, all of it, and I was just posting it on Telegram as it was happening, and we could tell. I think both of us. It's like I told Lewis, I need to go to bed at some point because I'm going to look horrible for the show tomorrow, and everyone knows when I'm tired. For some reason, they look at me and they go, "Hey, Rob's tired." So it's not something I can hide. Uh, Neumi aside, I still can't hide the tiredness, I guess. So
Right.
yeah, and I woke up this morning with 6 o'clock, which is the time the market opens on the East Coast, is 9 a.m. there for 6 a.m. here on the West Coast. And immediately, I mean, we saw it. It was down already 300 points in after hours trading overnight,
Right.
and it opened and it dropped like a rock right away. It was down like 1,100 points before you knew it.
Well, and we knew that the deep state would try to infuse money into certain sectors. In fact, I even predicted this yesterday before the market in order to try to stabilize it. They did an okay job, but it still dropped significantly. And if
Yeah.
you count that with the Friday drop, but I think that's just the beginning because yeah, so I started paying attention in 1987 with the big crash, which we called Black Monday, right? And it's
Right.
all about percentages. So people get they're like,
Yeah, that
oh,
was only 700
500.
points back then.
Yeah, exactly. 500. Oh my God, 1,000, blah, 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 blah. But 500 back then was, I believe, like a 22.6% drop or something astronomical, right? So it's all about percentages. So this is what we need to pay attention to is the percentages. So I've been talking to people and I go, until you hit 5% in a day or 10% in a week, there's no reason to panic whatsoever, right? Because that's the type of thing that can still recover. Japan hit, I believe, what was it, 12.6% drop in one day,
Almost certainly right.
which
Yeah.
was yesterday, right? And
But they're
the
down 2 days in a row like we are. So they had the biggest 2 day drop in the history
exactly.
of yeah.
So what happens is tomorrow's going to be scramble day. And this is my belief system. What happens on scramble day is everything either recovers or drops a little bit, right? Or when they're trying to scramble and they're seeing the scrambles unsuccessful, that's generally when there's mass sell-offs. So when they're seeing that things cannot be propped up like they want, that's when the big guys start pulling their money out in wholesale. And unfortunately, Robert's going to go into this. Who takes the hit? Your mutual funds and the little guys take the hits because they are always in second place in regards to putting their money in or taking their money out, which is a deep state game that's been played for a long time. Robert, I'm sure you're going to go into a little bit more depth of that. Exactly happened today in regards to so on and so forth.
The big fish eat first. I mean, that's the rule of the stock market. So what you have to recognize is you as an individual trader, your 401k, your little stock account with Schwab or Fidelity or whatever, you're the little fish. You got, if you've got $1 million in there, it doesn't mean anything. It's a very, very small amount of money. And so they're not going to take care of you. And what we saw this morning, right off the hop, is every single one of them, nobody could log in.
Yeah,
And you say, okay, that's not a coincidence, right? That's by design. Of course it's by design. It can't be a coincidence. I mean, every single site down at the same time, it didn't make any sense.
so
And what you found out later is that the institutional buyers could
exactly.
get in, buy and sell all they want, but the little fish, so the big fish got to eat first. They
So
got to
here,
get out of their positions before you could. And a
exactly
lot of
right.
people watching their 401k and they're shocked this morning.
So here's how sick it is. Okay. So Robert, you nailed it. So the little fish are doing what's called online trading.
Hmm.
Virtually every online trading platform shuts you out where you could not buy or sell your stock. Virtually every one. I mean, you can name them, and every fund shuts you out. But if anybody understands the big traders have a physical body on the floor of the stock market where they didn't shut their cell phone off, so they're still taking a call and they're making those calls, those puts and those purchases and sells right there live immediately while you're doing what? While you're watching the internet and your stock and your portfolio take a huge dump and you can do nothing about it.
Yep.
It's to me, it is it is treasonous. To me, these people should be all the people on the trading floor that know this is going on, they need to be wholesale thrown in jail and all the stock markets need to be shut down until this can get fixed because they're using just like they do with your taxes, they're using we the people to fund their shenanigans, which means they're putting themselves on a higher plane of existence than you. And it's to me, this show you're watching is huge because you have to understand this is disgusting. This is it's the most inappropriate thing that could be done, right? We have the false sense of security that we can go online now and trade our stocks, but when they want to, they just lock you out of it. All the big guys can pull their money out, and then guess where the money comes from? You, because you're taking the hit on yours. It's so bad.
Take it one step further too. And I was doing a lot of trading when I was involved with the Tony Robbins. I was helping them with their financial mastery program. I think I helped them 5 or 6 times. So we were very big into trading. I was actually teaching a course on stock market trading for a while here in California for the Learning Annex. And one of the things that was very prevalent back then is the number that you're getting is 20 minutes delayed. It's not
Hmm.
the real time number. If you want to get real time stock numbers within microseconds, right, you had to
Hmm.
pay a very, very high price, hundreds of dollars a month, to be able to have access to that feed. Otherwise, your feed is 20 minutes in arrears. So whatever number you think you're buying the stock at, not that number anymore. It's changed, most likely.
Yeah, and in speaking of Tony Robbins, he also taught me that in regards to even if you purchase the real time numbers, your stock trade is delayed, say a half a second, to give the big guys an opportunity to trade off of your trade. So they can take money when they see your stock come through and so on and so forth, or they can sell whatever they want to do, sell or buy based on what your trading is, because their machines have a system where they read your stock, do their trade, and then yours gets in about a half a second later. It's the worst. It's like Dominion and voting. It needs to just completely be abandoned and reset. But you know how we are. in the United States. If we make 8%, 10% on our money, we're like, okay, well, we did great. We made 10%. Don't worry about all the corruption and all the people being taken advantage of. Just you go ahead and suck on the nipple of 10%.
Yeah.
But until you lose your whole portfolio or your 401k drops in half overnight, and then suddenly they start complaining. Well, there's a mechanism that you should fight against way before you start complaining about it. This is why I'm telling you, I'm saying right now, I don't have a penny in the stock market, not a penny in the stock market, because this is just, I understand the mechanism.
There was a strategy that was taught by the fellow who was teaching the financial mastery course for Tony back then. And what he said was, you want to get to $1 million invested as quickly as possible. So do your trades, do your calls and your puts and that kind of thing, your options trading, and get to $1 million as quick as possible. Then don't touch the million. Just get your 10% and you have $100,000 a year income over and above. And there's a
Mhm.
number of people who were able to do that, but not many. There was a number of people that were able to do it, and it's like that's good until you run into bumps like right we're seeing right now. I mean, maybe the clue should have been Warren Buffett dumping all his Apple stock last week. What does he know about that company,
Yep.
or what does he know about what's coming?
Yeah, I would rather track the Pelosi's than Warren Buffett, though.
I hear you. I hear you.
Somehow they're three times more effective than Warren Buffett. Go figure, right?
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing to look at. The other thing you want to look at today is what stocks were up, because in any crash, there's always stocks that go in the opposite direction. What sector do you think was up today, if you could guess?
What sector I would say was up?
Hmm.
I didn't check, but I had prior knowledge that the deep state was going to pump money into tech. But where was it up?
The defense.
Well, that's a no-brainer. Yeah, of course.
Defense contractors, because we are on the precipice of.
World War III.
Ooh, that's what's up next, right? So I want to preface this before we jump into these next topics here, literally by letting you know that the deep state will stop at nothing to keep President Trump out of the White House. And you're going to see in some of these stories that we have today how far they're willing to go. They're willing to go to the end of the earth. They're willing to crack the earth, the
Mhm.
globe in half, and everyone perish. They're okay with that, so
Yep,
long as Donald Trump doesn't end up in the White House, because they know if that were to happen, they're finished,
yep, totally agree.
right? So here we are. We're looking at a war situation. Hey, by the way, where is Joseph R. Biden? Have you anybody seen him? We saw the look-alike today.
The tall look-alike, is that the one you saw?
All look-alike,
Yeah,
tan, younger, maybe a little heavier. Yeah, we
yeah.
didn't see the one we're kind of used to seeing.
All right.
Okay, so we have a country that's on the brink here. We have a country that is on the edge of there's world war happening everywhere around us, right? We have a financial situation that is not just the United States. We got to be careful not to be too myopic about this and look at the macro, right? And that's why, I was so curious about watching stock markets in other countries, because these are all clues.
Hmm.
So you could look at Venezuela, for instance. You could say, what happened in Venezuela this weekend? Well, there was very little information because they banned all the social media. But there's a
Hmm.
couple of videos that got out, and what we saw was basically civil war. We saw the thugs
Hmm.
following the people who were at the protest for the guy who actually won, cheering him on and everything and the thugs, the police, followed them into their neighborhoods, and now they're
Okay.
not armed,
So what if I have
right?
a complete counter narrative to that?
I want to hear it because that's what we saw.
Exactly. So I'm wondering if that's what they want you to see, because my wife talked to somebody from Venezuela today. She only speaks Spanish, and she said, quote, she goes, "There's no rioting and there's at the moment." And multiple families out there are reporting to her the exact same thing. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying it's interesting that there's a counter narrative to the story that we're seeing. What's most important, and you hit on it at the beginning though, is there's a media blackout or internet blackout to prevent these things from getting out. So we really don't know what the true narrative is, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe the deep state wants us to know this. Maybe the good guys want us to know this. I don't have a clue, right? I just got the report from my wife who talked to somebody today, and she says, "No, we're not seeing any of that going on." So that's very interesting.
And the media has a tendency to amplify too. So when we see a video, it becomes, oh, that's everything, right? But it may only been one pocket, one corner of the town, one part. You know what I mean? It may not have been what
Yeah,
they made it out to be, but
and
you
what
don't really know.
and
You're
what
just
have
getting
we,
this.
and what have we found, Robert? And you and I touch on this a lot. So the media will amplify it, and if it fits the patriot narrative, we'll make it go viral without even asking any questions,
Right.
without being responsible enough to work and get the detail on what's really going on. And this is why I ask honestly with everybody is, don't we just want the truth? Isn't that what do we want something to make us feel good? Do we want something to pump us up? The Patriots, you guys just want something to get clicks? Or do you want the truth? And I think truth and authenticity is not winning the day yet, but I think it will win the day when people get out of their real world, uh, a Big Brother New Jersey Shore mentality, and we say, you know what? Yes, let's just have truth and authenticity. We have enough excitement in the world that we don't need to make shit up. And I guarantee you, it doesn't matter if it's a lie that benefits your narrative or detracts from your narrative. It's still a lie, and it prevents us from moving forward.
Right. Now, not everything that we're going to post or share is going to be fully vetted. Obviously, we don't have a big news team behind us
No.
doing that kind of thing. But when I find stuff that I've posted and then I find out later not good, I'll go back and remove it.
Yeah, yeah, or retract it sometimes, where we say, "Hey,
Yeah.
we missed this one," but
Yeah.
that's honesty, right? The challenge is there's a lot of egos out there that they just pretend like it never happened. But hey, I got 2,300 clicks on it or 2,300 comments on it, so it's good, right? And
Yep.
unfortunately, that's the same mentality that the left has. In well, I get paid, so therefore it's okay.
Yeah, you did hear about that, right? How the Harris campaign is paying influencers to bash Trump as
They
much as
have to.
twenty thousand
It's
dollars.
not like they have them out there already.
So Joe Biden's senior economic advisor Gene Sperling he resigned today.
But why? He's done such a great job. Why would you resign? I don't understand.
I think, we're coming to that point where when everything starts hitting the fan, the rats are going to scramble. And I think we're kind of there. And that's how I took that. When I saw that, I go, okay, so stocks are tumbling everywhere. This guy is the economic advisor. He's supposed to be the guy piloting the ship as far as the economy goes. Absolute total failure. He knows he's going to be in the crosshairs. He's getting out while the getting's good.
But
That's my
Rob,
feeling.
but Robert, really, why? How can you possibly call him a failure when the Biden administration said he's did such a phenomenal job? I think it's very unfair of you to characterize him as a failure, because the Biden administration says that this is the best economy that there's ever been.
Yep. Hey, Biden said just last week that the markets are great. He conquered the economy. It's working great. He
He
cured
did.
the economy. Was his exact words.
He cured
Cured
the
the
economy.
economy.
It was a it,
Cured the economy of a success. It shouldn't be that successful. Let's tone it down a little bit here,
right.
people.
You really can't
Uh,
make this stuff up, can we?
Yeah. So a lot of economic news, folks. If you're wondering where we are on all of this, we point you to our friend Matt Geiger. To help out with getting into gold and silver. It's not too late. Neither one of those really bounced much. I think silver went down a little bit actually. So it's actually a buying opportunity now if you're thinking about doing
Yeah,
that.
totally
And
agree.
yeah, so certainly, the links for him are in the comments of or the description of the video below. We have to get the graphics up, and he's got to finish his website. So we're a little bit early on all of that because he's just opened a new company. And thank you guys for watching the show on Friday. There was a lot of you who watched that show because economic stuff is sort of top of mind for everybody right now.
Really
So
is. Yeah,
yeah.
and it's all proving to be what it looks like it would be. Also,
Yeah. If you haven't watched the show, go back and watch it because it is worthwhile seeing. Okay, Coca-Cola. Should we talk about what happened in Coca-Cola?
yeah. So what you talk about the lawsuit, and I'm just going to add on from the financial perspective.
Okay. So Coca-Cola, and we're not putting it there to advertise Coca-Cola, on July 31st, the U.S. tax court ruled that there were deficiencies in income tax dues payable by Coca-Cola to the IRS. Get this, for 2007 to 2009. I didn't think they could go back more than 7 years. To the tune of approximately 2.7 billion. When you add interest, the total amount payable by Coca-Cola comes to around 6 billion, the company said in an August 2nd press release. And this story is from Zero Hedge, should give them credit. Coca-Cola said it will defend its position and criticize the decision, stating the IRS and the tax court misrepresented and misapplied the applicable regulations involved in the case. With 90 days to file a notice of appeal, Coca-Cola intends to pay the roughly 6 billion owed while it proceeds with the appeals process. And you think you're going to get your 6 billion back, Coca-Cola? Really?
No way.
The issue stems from a notice sent by the IRS to Coca-Cola in September of 2015. I think that's just about 7 years from 2007. We think no, it's maybe 8 years, in which they sought 3.3 billion in additional income tax. The IRS said in the notice that it would reallocate more than $9 billion in income from the company's accounts, thus resulting in the tax dues. So they're just changing the ledger here, moving numbers around. The soft drinks manufacturer claimed the reallocation violated a previous calculation methodology that was agreed to by both sides. The IRS designated the issue for litigation, taking away any alternative means for Coca-Cola to resolve the matter other than going to court. In 2020, the tax court issued an opinion siding with the IRS. 3 years later, in November of 23, the court issued a second opinion, which was also in favor of the IRS.
So,
Messy.
so
Messy.
either the the Coca-Cola was so egregious in what they did that they felt if they did not find them, we the people would rise up, or maybe the deep state's not in control of the IRS anymore, which that would be an interesting narrative in itself also, because for a company, a Fortune 100 company like Coca-Cola, to be hit with a $6 billion fine like that seems pretty huge. And the fact that they're going to pay it so quickly is weird because they really don't have to pay it so quickly. Even a large corporation could have worked out a payment plan without interest. So that's interesting. So maybe this is just a narrative for us to pay attention to. Let's give the white hats some credit on this. Maybe what is interesting though is I decided to look at their stock, because when you have the stock market being hit like this, most people probably don't know that they have a large holding on the Nikkei index in Japan also, and in conjunction with the $6 billion uh, fine, you would think that their stock would just take a massive dump. So I pulled some numbers. Coca-Cola main stock here in the U.S. took a 1.77 hit. Japan's bottling company took a huge hit, 4.33%. And then you have, I think it's called Coke Consolidated on the NASDAQ, took a 4.61% hit. So it looks like in large companies are generally, when the stock market takes a hit, they almost parallel what the Dow Jones is, right? You know, you may have unless it's in a certain sector that took a hit, like back in the day, tech took a hit, or banking took a hit, so it's different. But when it's like a generic deal like this, they kind of balance each other. The fact that we predicted that Coke would take a little bit more of a hit, and they almost doubled what the market took in some sectors, probably is because they also had the news of the $6 billion fine at the same time. So the question is, and I don't have the answer. I don't know if you do. Was there white hat involvement and maybe part of a takedown of Coca-Cola, or an exposure of them because we understand some of the dirty deeds in the past? Or is this just coincidence? And I don't have the answer to that. I just find it interesting. That's why we're covering it.
How many bottles of Coke do you think they need to sell to make up the 6 billion?
Yeah, well, that's good because I think it's interesting. I would say extra bottles of Coke they would have to say would be about 60 billion, because probably their net profit is about 10 cents per bottle after they make it, goes through the distributor and sold. So that's a lot, isn't it? 60 billion. It doesn't even make sense.
The numbers
And
don't add up. Yeah, exactly.
the
Unless
net,
they're selling, they're only counting the ones that they sell at the stadiums for 5 times the price.
yeah, but they don't get that money though, do they? Because
They don't. Yeah.
that goes through the middleman. So what we have to really pay attention to, and this is, I'm really glad you brought this up, Robert, because the numbers never make sense. They never, ever, ever add up, and we suck it up and we just go with it over and over. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to use CNN like I always do. CNN top shares they get is 436,000 people watching at any one given time on the top level, right? Their total income per day is $2 million, right? They don't generate enough viewership to justify $2 million in income, which tells you that you have nefarious actors putting a lot more into it to support the deep state narrative, false narrative, because they're captured operation. Could that be the same thing? With the Coca-Cola or other large companies. And I would say to you it is. I would say your Fortune 1000 companies, many of them are involved in illegal money laundering scheme. And when we print trillions of dollars, they don't go to your pocket. By the way, if they did, you would have a choice of where you want to spend it, and that would not support the deep state. So when they print these $1 trillion, they're always in the form of bailouts. Rarely does it go to we the people unless President Trump's in office, right? So they go to bailouts, and the money ends up where? Back into the Fortune 1000 companies. So I would propose that there's very few food companies that could overcome a $6 billion loss probably in a decade it would take them or more. So these are things to pay attention to because it's all fake and false. So ultimately, that $6 billion is probably just some money that we printed back in the past and funneled through all these companies. What do you think?
Take a step back, I think these companies are an arm of the government, and they are involved in the money laundering, and they cover a lot of stuff up. And the 6 billion is nothing to them. That's why they're so eager to pay it. Get off our backs. Here's your 6 billion. Leave us
Mhm.
alone. We're going to continue doing what we've always done, and whatever that is, because they're involved in more than just selling, you know, soft drinks, right?
Yep, 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 absolutely.
So. Yeah, there's more to this story that obviously, if you take it at face value, you're missing the point because there's a lot more here that never gets covered. And a reporter is not going to go dig and the journalist is not going to go dig on this. We used to have 60 Minutes way back when. They might do something like that, but that's long gone. We don't have the investigative reporter anymore. You know,
No, that's those are decades gone by. That's for sure.
decades gone by. I remember being at a bank robbery in Montreal, and the guy who was reporting from the local channel there was actually there. He had a videographer there, and he had a notepad and a pencil, and he was asking questions and taking notes. I've never seen that anymore. You just don't see it anymore. By the way, people have asked, I mentioned I was going to do it. I'm going to create a little crash course on how to become a citizen journalist and basically how to use your cell phone to capture great video. So I'm working on recording that this week. I started writing the outline, and I'll make it available to all of you. You can all watch it, because I think we all need to learn how to do this, because we're going to be in situations. If you think about the July 13th event,
Mhm.
what if more people really use their camera properly? Would we have more video from that?
Yeah, when I'll definitely post that on either Freedom in Action or Remember Your Oath because that's exactly the type of things that we need.
Yep, absolutely. That's why I'm motivated to do it. All right. Why don't we talk about animals for a change?
Animals, we like animals.
Animals.
Well, the pet food is pretty phenomenal. I mean, I'll just say that. In regards to the food and the nutrition, I can say with our dog Cooper, who's a husky, he used to be very lethargic. Now, when we come home, he's jumping up and down, he's smiling, which is wonderful. It's great for our dog Reggie. And then we have an older one. That's it. To be honest with, we thought that he would pass probably about a year and a half ago. We were talking about because of what he was going through, actually putting him asleep, which is something I'm definitely against. But we were there, and then we fed him the super sauce and the pet food, so on and so forth, and he's doing really good. Now, I be honest, he has taken a turn lately, but I don't think it's coincidental that I misordered and couldn't get the soft food for him, and he was without that for about a week, and he wasn't eating the super sauce. So he had a big, huge issue this weekend where we really thought this is the day. And he's almost 18, so we've gotten an extra 2 years out of him because of the food for sure. But our little one, Cody, was laying down, and so I started feeding the super sauce right out of the container, and within a couple hours he was up walking around. I'm like, wow, I can't believe he's even doing that. Then he was a little bit lethargic, did it again, he's up walking around, and again this morning. um, and the soft food's going to be delivered today or tomorrow. So who knows? He's a trooper, but all I know is there's something magical about that super sauce alone that just blows me away, because this poor guy, he shouldn't be here anymore, and it just absolutely blows me away to get to this point. So um you can just go to screwbiggov.com/pets, screwbiggov.com/pets. And they also have a wonderful warranty. If for some reason you don't like it, you send it back, and you're going to get a full refund also. So screwbiggov.com/pets.
Your pets will thank you for it. I got to tell you, Thumper can't get enough of that super sauce. Mix it with everything now.
That's
He
awesome.
absolutely loves it. All right, shall we move over to the Middle East for a moment or two? Gosh,
Not physically.
well, not there, no. Boy, boy. Yeah, kind of insane, I think, when you think about what's going on in our world, and we're kind of cozy here, and we don't really that much attention. Okay, Iran is threatening to hit Israel. We might ask the question, wait a minute, why isn't he in Gaza? What is he doing hiding in Iran? Right? So that might be a good question to ask to kind of help you unravel some of this stuff, because he's living the high life there, and meanwhile he's ordering his troops and his actors in Gaza to attack Israel, and they're getting slaughtered. So Israel finally found him and went in. Apparently, there's some are saying it was a missile, some are saying it's a drone. Some are saying now that it was a device that was already in his room and it just detonated. We're not sure. But now Iran is really upset, and they want retribution, and they're not waiting. They're going to hit. And I think President Trump said it this morning. He said probably within the next 24 hours. All weekend long, what did we see? We saw Russian military transports landing in Iran to help supply them. So the people who track the flight radar and all that, they saw those flights going in again and again. So they're clearly getting ready to do something. We don't know how big it'll be. It could be, I don't know, bloviating. I think that's what you call it, bloviating. Just making a big stink out of nothing, or it could be something real. We don't know at this point.
Yeah, who knows? We also know it's been reported that U.S. ships and aircraft, as of Friday, are being sent over to the Middle East,
Yep.
um, a lot. So to give some context, you have the leader of Hamas is different than the leader of Hezbollah, and Hezbollah does most of their damage as of late in Lebanon, but the Hezbollah targets Israelis,
Right.
which is interesting. And then you have
They get it
Israel.
from both sides.
What's that? Yeah, yeah,
They get it
exactly.
from both sides.
And then the Israel, which the leadership of Israel, if anybody knows, is a deep state leadership, nothing about the people. And the Mossad is one of the best intelligence agencies when it comes to effectiveness in the world. Not saying they're good, because I think they're like the CIA. I think they're evil. So when you say you don't know based on the information of how
When you show up at the poll and they say, "I'm sorry, Mr. Herms, it looks like you've already voted." Then they give you a what? A provisional ballot. What's that mean? Well, if they ever did the research and found out that that vote that was there really wasn't yours, then they would take yours instead. But who's going to do that work? So your provisional ballot pretty much goes into the circular file, as far as I understand it.
So the question we need to ask, and we don't have the answer to this, we can speculate, right? With To me, there is a lot of evidence that President Trump could be commander in chief still. That being said, are we just is everything just optics? Because nothing's getting fixed in the elections whatsoever. They look like
Nothing.
they're worse. Like you mentioned, the RNC is doing nothing to protect the elections. There's no systems out there, except we are going to have a system to help protect the election if there is one in regards to the app, and we'll be explaining that in the next couple weeks that we're developing. So I it could all be optics. This could just be everything's going to look so horrible so the good guys can come in there and with our help we the people help take things over, right? It could be that.
Hmm.
But are you guys really willing to bet on that and not do your job? That's the
No.
problem I'm seeing these people going, oh well, this is all just a white hat operation. Okay, well, guess what guys, if you're wrong, you've not just lost the country, you lost the world forever.
Yep.
Forever. And you should study the Bolshevik Revolution, because what they were telling the people is, don't worry, nothing's really happening. This is all optics. And then tens of millions of people were slaughtered.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, be careful. Always saying, oh, this is just popcorn and wearing my frog mask. Everything's okay, right? Because so if the White Hats are completely in control, and then your next question should be, well, why would they possibly allow that to happen? So maybe both narratives are correct at the same time. That the White Hats have a lot to do with the narratives coming out because they have to wake people up, and we the people need to get active, like President Trump, your CIC, if that's what you believe, is telling you to. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say President Trump is CIC, so let's just eat our popcorn and not listen to President Trump when he says, get your ass off the couch, get involved, and fight, fight, fight. So you guys can't have it both.
Yeah.
So maybe you're right that there's a white hat element, which I believe there is, doing great work, but at the same time they're kind of begging you to get involved. So when you look back on this, were you part of the problem, or were you part of the solution? Is really what it comes down to it.
Yep. Yeah, and I think, as we get closer to this election, I think we have two periods we have to be very careful about, and it says 90 days prior. I think the pressure is going to go up, and you're going to see a lot of things we won't expect. Even us who are kind of in the know, kind of thing. There'll be things that'll come up that will shock us even, and then after the election, if Trump were to prevail, if there were an election, he prevailed, I think it'll get even worse because
Absolutely.
they will not let him get to January 6th or January 20th is when they
That
get sworn.
that's going to be when the shit hits the fan. I'm sorry, the fit hits the shan. I can't cuss on here, can I?
You
It's
can
the
do it.
it's
You
the
can do
fit hit
whatever you want. Your
the fit
show. You
hits
can do
the
it.
shan.
This from the AP, this just broke a little while ago, reports that Israel conveyed a message to Iran through a third European country. Any attack on civilian targets by Iran will be met with the immediate destruction of all.
They're not, because who's really getting hurt? It's the civilians. They're not taking out some leaders. They claim to take out a leader. You know what I mean? And he may just be a pawn in this game also. So you have deep states that work together. You think this is a crazy anomaly? Well, maybe you should go back to many wars, including the Civil War, which was funded both sides by the same entity.
Yep,
So if you think I'm talking crazy talk, check that out. If you want to come
yep,
more modern, look at World War One. Oh, gee, let's look at World War Two. So these are all deep state wars that are funded by the same entities and run by the same entities, and it's for division and control of we the people. And sometimes they're inter battles within the deep state. I'll buy that, but they're all deep state operations. So if we know it happens here in the United States all the time, so why wouldn't it be happening over there also? It is. So we get drawn into sides because that's what they need us to do. They need us to pick a side, right?
Yep.
How about both sides are bad? Whoa, crazy talk, Lewis. Where's your tinfoil hat?
Hey, you know what? Both sides are bad because it's not the civilians fighting.
That's right.
They're the ones in the middle. And you look at all those people in Gaza, they're not necessarily the problem. You look at the people in Israel, they're not necessarily the problem. It's the leadership. It's the same as we have here. Our leadership is off the rails, does not represent us at all. The majority of Americans would throw these two under the bus at any given moment. And yet they're representing us now, and as horrible a job as they're doing. But they don't represent who we are as a nation. Just saying. Just saying. All right, let's jump over to what's coming up on 3rd of September. This is going to be cool.
So a couple of things are coming up 3rd of September. Maybe people don't know this. You've heard Ivan Raglan mention what? That's amnesty is over for the deep state. You know what else? President Trump is dropping his book with the fight, fight, fight symbol called Save America. And guess who was ahead of the curve and announced it before both of them? That's right. Right here, the Unity Tour starts September 3rd. Does that prove that it's all divine? How everything's coming together? Absolutely. We're so excited about it. Play the tape, Robert.
Whew. Going to be fun. Going to be a lot
Boom,
of fun.
boom, bada bing. We're really excited about this. And in fact, folks, there's something coming out real quick, and we're asking you, we the people, to help us out. We're going to be putting on a lot of marketing on this, right? This is not a profit center for us. We're doing this for free, but this is an opportunity for people to get together, unite, and make a difference in the community and the country and worldwide. So we're going to be posting a lot of marketing, and we're going to ask that you guys can really, really help us and forward it all over the place. We also need volunteers. We are volunteer light some places in some areas. So if you can volunteer, and that's really easy. You show up, maybe just cordon off an area, you help with something, help get the word out, whatever it is. Contact us right now at screwbiggov at protonmail.com. Screwbiggov at protonmail.com. If you've already done that, I'm not ignoring you. I just haven't got to all my emails yet, which I will be doing hopefully by tomorrow and Wednesday. That's my goal, to finish up on that. I've been very, very productive the last 3 days, and I'm catching up. So hopefully by Wednesday, I'll be all caught up. We're very excited about this. I mean, I am so pumped about this, Robert. I'm not playing. I am just through the roof. I keep seeing thousands and thousands of people showing up at this place and then getting active. And even if we end up having an election, we're going to teach how you can be active that day, November 5th, and make a difference too. So this is big stuff.
It is big stuff. I can't wait to get the thing rolling. I know it's coming up real quick. It's less than a month away. Whee! Take a deep breath. We have so much to do between now and then, don't we? Hi.
Taking a deep breath now. Thank you, Robert.
Okay. Man, I miss precedented times. You know that?
You had to
Ah.
explain this to me, but it's brilliant. Tell everybody what you're talking about here.
Well, everyone keeps saying we live in unprecedented times. So I'd like to go back to precedented times where things were kind of normal and you kind of knew what was going to happen.
It's still true,
Kind of
isn't
fun.
it? It is.
It really is fun.
It's just absolutely the truth.
All right, we're gonna have Lewis do a little bit of fun here. How's it?
Tinfoil hat time.
All righty then. So this is, hey, Robert, I'm not showing on the screen. What is going on here? Huh. It's interesting that you see that on your side. Okay, good. Glad to know it, guys. So, hey, Matt, now I am. There we go. So, Master Baggy, when you edit this, just go ahead and make sure you cut out me complaining. So, because this will be a section that we're going to post. Guys, this is a very important section. Really, let's pay attention right now because I have a question. Are you sometimes feeling like you don't know what to believe anymore? Are you feeling up, then down? high energy, then no energy. Some days you're healthy, some days you feel sick. Take a deep breath, as Robert says, because you're not alone. Now, what if I told you that currently this roller coaster you may be riding is less about your environmental influences and likely a result of the heightened spiritual informational war we are currently in? See, many times you may hear information from a source that you feel aligns with your thoughts and values, but the information delivered brings you up to a high or down to a low. It's almost manic at times, isn't it? This source that may appear to align with you is most likely an infiltrator tasked at messing with your mental state. That's right. So, first, you must understand that your confusion is intentional. Unfortunately, the good guys and the bad guys are in a spiritual informational war right now. So, deception is the weapon of choice. And we, the people, are simply the pawns on the chessboard. But when in doubt, I recommend going back to the basics, the foundation. Forget for a second about clones, aliens, dumbs, and adrenochrome, who's good, who's bad, or even who's under the mask and being covered up by the elites. Many celebrities and politicians are, yes, CGI and or played by actors in masks. This now is undisputable at this point. Hundreds of CEOs from corrupt Fortune 1000 corporations have been replaced. The 50-year stranglehold of the United States political cabal, consisting of the Bushes, the Clintons, Pelosi's, the McConnell, the Cheneys, Obamas, by the way, which are Bushes, Romney's, Biden's, and the complete McCain cartel are all but decimated. They are gone. And that only took a few years. That is huge. Most importantly, folks, God wins when we, the people, ante up and kick in. So let's go back to the basics and don't get your mind bent on what's real or fake because we have the ability to take ownership. We choose our reaction to any given situation and we manifest a positive outcome. I truly hope this helps ground and balance you a little bit. When needed, just replay this video. With love to all, my name is Louis Herms. Now, let's kick some ass.
I like that, Lewis. I love kicking some ass. That's my kind of day. We should have given you a little bit of, a little bit of love here.
I'll take all the love I can get, Robert.
Yeah, all right. When I told you, well, let's cover the story first about Kamala's VP choice that oops was leaked on Friday.
Go figure.
Go figure. Tell me about this one because like I said, I've been kind of ignoring all the Kamala crap at this point.
Mhm. Well, I'm a numbers guy, and I had a hunch. I had a hunch that this would either be picks to solidify her Israel narrative because she appears to be anti Israel, right? So we can look at it that way, or this could be another exposure of the deep state Zionist apparatus. So I'm like, is she going to put maybe a Jewish person in as her VP pick? And then the final two VP potential picks are what? They're both Jewish. So then my numbers start racking my brain, and I did the numbers, and guess what? For her to have two Jewish people as her final two picks is a 1 in 1,736 chance. That's 0.000576 of a chance for that to happen, which means I'm an anti Semite for bringing it up. Crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah. So it looks like Shapiro's the pick as far as what was announced on Friday. So it looks like that'll be in there. She was supposed to announce it today. So who cares at this point, right? It's not a serious
It,
candidacy. It's not
it's
someone who
not.
can actually. I don't think she's able to run a vacuum cleaner at this point. You know what I mean? So I thought Biden was
Well, I
bad.
don't, I don't
Oh
you
boy.
know why? Because she is a vacuum cleaner. Her nickname's Hoover, if you know what I mean.
Oh, brother. When you thought AOC was bad being a bartender, I mean, this doesn't fall far from that, does it?
No, I believe the next line of vacuums that are going to outpace Hoover and the Shark and Dyson, right? It's going to be called Knee Pad Harris. And
Knee pad Harris.
that's the next brand. Make sure when the stock comes out, right, on the stock market, it's going to be NBH, knee pad hair. I'm sorry, that would be KBH. Sorry, I was being phonetic. So it would be KBH, right? That's the new brand of vacuums. And when KBH comes out, you know what that stands for.
How about we talk about some pine pollen?
Oh, God. You know what? By the way, I keep two pine pollens here. I have the extract and my other one. Here we go, right here. And I'm
Pine
not, by the
needle
way,
extract is different than the pine
right.
pollen extract.
No,
I'm
I
sure
know.
the first.
This is what I wanted to show people.
Okay.
Here's what's interesting. I had no idea what Robert was going to say. I'm not prepared, but the two I have right here because I love them are pine pollen tincture and pine needle extract. You're talking about the pine pollen. So,
Pine
good
pollen
stuff.
is from two different pine trees. It's kind of interesting because it's wild harvested. And what does he say here? Do ponderosa pine and I can't read the other one. Lodgepole pine. I've never heard of lodgepole pine, but it makes sense. If you're going to build a lodge out of pine, you probably need a big, thick one, right? So this is wild harvested. He gets his stuff, I believe, from Canada, where there are no pesticides, there's no farming. It is way out in the wilderness where they harvest this
Mhm.
stuff. And he does a really good job of keeping it alive because pine pollen is alive, and it's in an alcohol base, and it helps with so many things. It certainly is a hormone balancer, which is probably the biggest thing. And guys, the prostate, oh boy, this is really good for the prostate. Really good for the prostate as you age, and it has so many health benefits. Lance is, as we have him on occasionally. The last time we had him on, I think it was 2 weeks ago. We talked a lot about the pine pollen extract and berberine. Berberine helps with blood sugar management. Anybody having trouble there as we get older and less active? Yeah, so that's another tool to help you. We love Lance because he's got a company where he gets to control what goes in the bottles. And boy, is he a stickler for quality. I've never seen anybody like this before.
Brilliant.
The money, the profits, not on his radar at all. I don't even know sometimes if he sells stuff at a loss. I don't know. But I know what is on his radar is if it goes out and it's got Ascent Nutrition on the bottle, it's going to be top, top, top grade. No question. So I want you to go
Absolutely.
check it out. Screwbiggov.com/health. I'll put that up.
I'll say it. Screwbiggov.com/health.
And we thank Lance for supporting our little show here. And we love supporting him. He's member as far as we're concerned. Really great guy, and you're going to love the products that are there. Get the coffee. You'll try the coffee. You'll never go back. I promise you. Okay, enough about that. Hoi. So I told you earlier in the show that they will stop at nothing to block Trump from taking power. Yeah? You want to see what Jamie Raskin has in mind?
Oh
All the
God.
way up to January 6th, 2025? Hope this plays for you, Lewis.
What can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress. So it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have Not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do.
Okay, so basically, he's talking about the 14th Amendment, Section 3, where it's about, inciting a civil war. So they're thinking about pulling this on January 6th of 2025. What happens on January 6th, Lewis?
That's when they certified the vote.
Ooh, so now what he's saying is if they pull this card out, they would not be able to certify the vote. Even if Trump won by a landslide, he would at that moment be disqualified if they were able to pull this off.
Well, he's
Plans,
right.
backup
Well,
plans,
well
plans again.
he is right though. If they're able to pull that off, they better have a lot of bodyguards because this time the people aren't going to take it, and I'm sure they'll do some damage, some heavy damage.
Yeah, yeah. So like I said, it's there's Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, Plan Z, Plan XX1, Z52. I mean, it just keeps going and going, and layer after layer after layer, and it's like, how are we going to get through this? Right? And it's going to be up to us, we the people. We're not going to accept it, and we're going to have to at some point lock arms on this and say no more. The buck stops here. It's over. Stop the games. And I think we're going to get to that point. And Lewis and I keep talking about what's it going to take? It's going to take a financial crash. Ooh, what are we seeing today?
Mm-hmm.
Could we be moving in that direction? Because when people go to the bank and they today it was hard enough, you couldn't get into your 401k to see what was going on. What happens if you go to your ATM machine? You can't get money out. Uh-oh, now you
Yeah.
can't eat. Uh-oh, can't put gas in the car. Uh-oh, can't pay rent. Now people are going to wake up.
So it's interesting too, and I want to find the positive take on here because there is one that's extremely positive. Um, if the financial markets are to crash within the next two months, right, and there is an election, the positive thing is that absolutely the deep state would be ousted because there would be so many people going in the correct direction that it will be absolutely unstoppable. So for people that can be upset about, oh no, not a financial crash, the bigger picture is a financial crash, in my opinion, absolutely guarantees the good guys take the White House and we get to take our country back.
Yep.
That's the benefit of it. So I would look more macro than micro because there's a larger picture here. You actually, I know it hurts to say this, folks, because we look myopically on this. We may need a financial crash to get everybody on the same page, or 90% of them.
Well, think of the basketball player, right? If he wants to throw that ball, he just doesn't jump up. He has to first crouch down a little bit before he can jump up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're looking at that now. That's the crouching down part that we're going to need to get more people involved so that ball can go further. And we can go into the future in a very different way than it's playing out right now. Because if we continue this way, no, we don't. No, nobody wants what's going on right now. Nobody does. We want it to be changed. We want it to be different. And, obviously, we need more people involved, more people enrolled. And then a financial crash will do that. We'll actually activate a lot of people. So we'll see. It's hard to talk about things like that we may have to feel some pain, but sometimes you do, right? You want to feel a little bit of pain before you, move over to the next step. So
Yep,
seems to
absolutely.
be where we are.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Oh, all right. What's left in the stack of stuff, as we call it here? Ah, okay. We've got Mr. Hill. That's all that's left in my stack for today. And I deliberately jumped over the story about what's going on in the UK. That's a long story. I think probably needs a lot more, time to address it. And I was telling Lewis earlier before we got started, they said, man, the stack of stuff that's on the floor and we can't fit it into a 90-minute segment here is incredible. There's so much going on right now. So, stay grounded. I think Lewis has got the right approach. You are in control of your emotions. You're in control of how you feel, how you react to things. You don't control the things, but you do control your reaction to them. So if you can manage that, you're going to be okay. And all of us sticking together makes a big difference as well. I'm thinking, Lewis, and correct me if you don't agree with this idea, but I'm thinking we should have a 24/7 chat room. And of course, Facebook would be the obvious choice, but not for us because we get banned immediately. But a 24/7 chat room where our viewers can continue the conversation long after we're off the air. Would love to
Yeah.
see that happen.
Don't we have that in Telegram already, or am I? You mean specifically for the show?
Specifically for the show and specifically for the people who watch this show, something that's easy. I thought Discord might work, but then I found out that they're pretty woke over there, so probably not.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea. We just have to figure out the logistics of it.
Yep. Because we want to keep people connecting, and it's just like that's really our vision here more than anything is providing the news, providing different opinions on that. That's important, but also connecting all of you. I mean, that's what the whole Truth Tour was about, was connecting people, and that's what the Unity Tour is going to be going forward, is about, again, connecting people, because we don't want to feel like islands, and that's what they've done to us. 6 feet distance, put on your mask so you're anonymous, right? You don't make any connection. You don't all you making eye contact is all you can do, but 6 feet away is not quite the same. So we've been separated. The social structure has been damaged, no question. So we'd like to help rebuild that and get people connecting again. So whatever ways we can. If you guys have any ideas, screwbiggov@protonmail.com, screwbiggov@protonmail.com. We always love your suggestions. And how are you perceiving what we're doing? Are we doing a great job? Are we doing not a great job? What could we improve? That kind of thing helps a lot.
Yeah,
All right, you want to keep.
our app may take care of what you're talking about, anyways, Robert.
Okay, awesome.
So I'll go into detail on that more, especially with you on the side, and you could help me with that. Folks, we're going to bring you a little piece from Napoleon Hill, and then we'll be out today. Appreciate you. Napoleon Hill is going to talk about "I Believe," and we'll be back here. I think Robert's back here with a surprise tomorrow. I'm going to be organizing that. I most likely will take the day off tomorrow, Robert. I'm not taking the day off. Obviously, I need it to work and focus, but I might jump on to the show tomorrow too, which would be really cool because I kind of have an idea what you're planning. It'll be pretty cool.
Yep, absolutely.
Good night,
Excellent.
folks.
So let's watch Mr. Hill. We're going to still be on screen. I didn't get it onto a separate shot, so we'll be on screen for a little bit, and then we'll say goodbye.